I like this India Ari song. Hey, hey Nat. That's my joint. Love me some India Ari. Just waiting on Jeremiah to log on. What you waiting on? Just to you, somebody's got to be a star. Just to you, somebody's got to raise the bar. Just to you, somebody's got to change the game. Just to you, if you create the game, then you create the rules. Hey everybody, just waiting on Jeremiah to log on. Oh shucks. Are you on your phone, Jeremiah? Because I don't see where I can invite you. Or do you see something that says join the broadcast? You got to be on your cell phone. We're coming, y'all. Just trying to get logged on. Oh, this sucks. Let me see, because it's not showing invite by your name, Jeremiah. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Let me know if you got it. You should have got it. Okay, here we go. Yes. All right. It's still inviting. Hopefully you get you got it. Okay. There we go. Hey. This daggone technology. You never know what's going to happen.
I know. Oh my goodness. How are you doing?
How you doing? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you
okay,
now.
Good.
I ain't seen you since Sunday.
There you go. I'm like, I was like, how do I join?
I know, these things are funny. All right, so I'm really, really, really excited about our discussion today. It's going to be really good. So what I'm going to do, start off with the purpose of today's conversation, do a little introductions, let the people know how we know each other, and then we'll get into some good old questions and talking and stuff.
I know that's right.
All right. So for those that just logged in, if you've never been on these, if you've never seen these Facebook Lives before, I've been doing them since last month, just having male guest co-hosts to have conversations about relationships. I love to talk about relationships. And so I decided, since I post relationship questions and scenarios every day, I decided to bring the conversations live. So that's what we've been doing for the past 2 months. And if you haven't seen any of them, you can go to my business page, Walking in Wholeness, LLC, and you can see all of the videos there. So I'm really excited to have my brother here. So Mr. Jeremiah, why don't you introduce yourself to the people, tell them who you are.
I'm Jeremiah Marshall. I'm a pastor of Gospel Outreach Community Church.
Go see.
Yeah, go see representing. Also a brother, Siobhan, prior military, got out the military, stayed in this area, and married to Alicia James Marshall, my baby.
Yeah, hi Alicia.
And I have 2 kids, 2 wonderful kids, boy and a girl, and we shut it down after that.
I know that's right. That's it. That's all. No more. Really, for real? Y'all shut it down?
No, no, we shutting it down. Two's
Oh.
enough. We wanted
I
5
know
originally.
that's
Well, she wanted 5. Then we're
for
like,
real.
no. After the first one, we're like, nah, we
Mm-mm.
good. Stop
Yeah. Reality said, oh, that 5. Nah, I was just playing around.
it.
Cool beans. So, for those that don't know who I am, my name is Siobhan Carter, and I am the U Relationship Coach, which means I help women establish healthy relationships with themselves that foster healthy relationships with others. So, I'm passionate about relationships, and I just wrote my second book, Dear Miss Wholeness. So, I have the link in the description of this Facebook Live. So, if you're interested, take a look. It's just about my relationship journey, things that I've gone through, unhealthy relationships, marriage, divorce, all that other stuff, and all my business and how I even got into that type of situation. So
Transparent?
we're going to have a good discussion.
You were transparent?
I was transparent. I put all my business out there in the streets. I mean, all of it. It's it's a page turner, to say the least. So, Jeremiah, tell the people how we know each other.
We met through church, Victory Temple Missionary Baptist Church, in Alexandria,
Yeah.
Virginia. uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think we came around the same time. I want to say we came
I
at the
think
same
so.
time. But we met there, and then just became good friends from there. Started doing
Mm-hmm.
singles conference at the church.
Yeah.
Did your dance ministry and your poems and spoken words.
Yeah. All that stuff. Yeah, so we've been connected for a long time, and just Jeremiah has been sharing a lot of wisdoms on the relationship post. So I just really wanted to get him on so you can hear just how phenomenal he is and how much wisdom he has as it relates to relationships. So let's get into it. So how long have you and Alicia been married?
Well, we just celebrated our 12-year anniversary, October 15th.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
nice.
12 years. Um,
That's a long
it is a long time. So, but it didn't feel long. It didn't feel long.
time.
Every relationship's different, but we definitely it didn't feel long. It felt short, but it felt full. It
Mm-hmm.
felt full. The relationship did feel full. The wedding,
Nice.
marriage, everything.
Yeah. Mhm. So how did you know that Alicia was the one for you?
To be honest, our relationship was kind of weird.
Mhm.
One, we didn't have the traditional even going together, going dating. It started.
Mhm.
It all kind of flowed. Like we have different times of when we felt that we were together. Like I felt it was like July 2003, and she think it was August because it wasn't like would you go out with me with yes or no. It kind of just
Okay.
flowed together. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but at some point during our relationship, I began to I began to see her in my future, and so that's one of the things I look for. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
actually broken up with people that I didn't see that we had a future relationship. They were good people. I just didn't see them in that future as a
Mm-hmm.
wife and stuff like that, because we didn't want to waste their
Right.
time and even mine. But for her,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I saw her in my future, and that was I felt in my heart, in my spirit that she I wanted to marry her. I didn't always get it right. I
Wow.
was engaged before, so I didn't always get it right.
Yeah, but you got it right
I
this
did
time.
get
12 years, sounds pretty right to me.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when you said you saw her in your future, tell us a little bit more about what that meant for you.
So for me, what that meant to me is that um, one, I knew what she wanted to aspire to be in her future. What her goals
Mm-hmm.
and what she wanted to be, and she helped define where I wanted to go. And so I started to
Mm-hmm.
incorporate her into the things that I wanted to do in my career. One of the things is I was in the military at the time we started dating. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was time for me to either re-enlist or get out. And so when I started thinking about that, I started to think about how me being in will impact her. And so at this
Yeah.
point, I was saying I've incorporated her into my future, and so that's when I was like, wow, you know, I'm already my goals, my plans now included her, and so I
Yeah.
had to make that official. You know, it's like I saw her as part of me.
That's good stuff. And I asked that question because, it can look differently for different people, but just something for singles, because we have a lot of conversations about singles. So just wondering, like, what are some things that men think about, as they're considering their future, so that's good when you started to make decisions that incorporated her. And it's just something that happened organically that you knew, that she was going to be a part of.
Yeah, and I think for I know it's hard to speak for a lot of guys because a lot of guys are different, but I think generally speaking, it is the fact that you start to see them in your future, uh, but
Hmm.
also because a lot of guys are like um, they define their roles so well, like in their head, like I want
Yeah.
my control or what this, that, and other. When that influence happens and they say, wow, this person is now shaping who I am and what I want to do in my life, you start to see that
Hmm.
vulnerability come and you begin to say, wow, this I'm being vulnerable to somebody, to this person. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're the ones I want to be with, you know.
Yeah. And that's the word that came to mind when you were saying that, vulnerability. How important is vulnerability in a relationship and a marriage?
I think it's extremely important because vulnerability defines how close someone will get to you, how close you let them
Mm,
to your heart, how close you how much you trust them, how much you even love them. Vulnerability
wow.
says that I trust you to not hurt me, but have the ability to hurt me, but I know you won't.
Wow. Wait, no, no. Say that again. Vulnerability is what? Say that again.
Vulnerability is pretty much saying that I'm giving you the ability to hurt me, but I'm trusting you that you won't do it. I'm putting
Wow.
that much power into your hands.
Yeah, I'm giving you the ability to hurt me, but I'm trusting that you won't
Yeah.
do it. Wow. Wow. So how does a person get to that point where they can allow themselves to be vulnerable with someone else?
Well, it all depends on past relationships. I think the past
Mm-hmm.
relationships define how someone does it, how easy they do it,
Mm-hmm.
or how hard it is to get to that point. And so,
Mm-hmm.
as we say, relationships are in the past, but it's hard. Relationships are in the past, but it defines how you act in the future. It defines how you act in the
Mm.
present and in your future. And so you take that
Yeah.
and you say, well, I just told you I was engaged before. I was engaged before,
Mm-hmm.
and those didn't work out. Great people though, great people. We had great relationships. It was good two good people that just didn't work well together. And I
Yeah.
had to get vulnerable again to say, let me get engaged again. I had to
Yeah.
I had to say I need to understand that those relationships were there. They happened
Mm-hmm.
and they may not have worked out, but that's the hurt part. Now I'm gonna say
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna let you in my heart at that level of saying I want to marry you,
Mm-hmm.
and trust that this one will be successful.
Mm.
And so once you commit to yourself, I think that's the point is
Mm.
that some people can word it, but you have to really believe it because it is a big commitment and a vulnerability saying, you know, I'm putting
Mm.
this in your hands. But when you really
Yeah.
believe it, you can move forward and you can have that kind of you can have that relationship get closer than it was because it is a milestone.
Mm.
It is a big
Yeah. Yeah.
milestone.
And you know what? I think that you said something very key. It sounds like there was a almost a resolve that took place within you about your past relationships, and like, you know what? Even though, they didn't go the way I thought they were going to go, I'm not going to carry all of that stuff with me so that it impacts how I relate to, someone in the future.
Yeah, and it, like I said, I posted earlier about you know you we make choices, but choices also make us. And so
Yeah.
I understood that. Yeah, I made some choices in relationships, and those
Mm-hmm.
choices define who I am, how I'm going to treat her, how I'm going to allow her to treat me, how we make decisions together. Those choices and those past relationships have defined how I move forward.
Yeah.
I didn't use it as a crutch or a wall,
Yeah.
but I use it as a platform so that my voice can be
Yeah.
heard and her voice can be heard, and we can build on that
Mhm.
foundation.
Yeah, so it's like a shaping and molding, using the past relationships as a shaping and molding of who you are, how you think, but not allowing it to cripple or to interfere, with establishing something with someone
Yeah,
else.
because everybody's different. She shouldn't pay for anybody's sins that did to
Exactly.
me, and I shouldn't pay for anybody's
Yeah.
sins that did wrong to her. But we learn from it.
Yeah.
Don't ignore some of that
Mm.
stuff. You learn from it, and like I said, it shapes you.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think it takes a good bit of courage too, to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to try this again. No matter what happened, I'm going to allow myself to be open, to new experiences. I think that takes courage too, because sometimes I know for me, when I got divorced, it was really hard for me to want to open up my heart again to anybody because of, things that have happened. But at the same time, it's like I don't want to be crippled or stifled or paralyzed by what happened. Like I do want to experience the desires of my heart. So why should I allow that, to hold me back, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the way it needs to be. I mean, um, I've held multiple positions and multiple jobs with companies and stuff.
Mm.
I had good companies.
Yeah.
I had bad companies. I didn't stop working after
Hmm.
I joined a bad company because I
Yeah.
still had
Yeah.
desires, right? I had mortgages. I had stuff that I wanted to do. So my desires are still
Mm.
there. Um, even though
Yeah.
I had a bad experience. So what I did was I had to
Hmm.
let that bad experience go, and go into my
Yeah.
new position, with the expectation that this one will be better than the other one was, or this will last longer than the
Yeah.
other one was. And so when I look at my past failed relationships, uh, they
Hmm.
failed. I've gained some experience from those, but I never went into the next one thinking that this will be just as bad as the other ones. I went into it saying
Yeah.
this will be better than the other ones.
Yes, yes. So it's this is so good. So it's all about mindset and how we go into a thing.
Yeah.
It's all about how we look at it. If we go into it saying, "Okay, you're not gonna do to me what he did to me," then we're already entering into it, with the wrong mindset and just setting it up to fail because I'm bringing that thought process into this new situation. So, man, that's so good. Yeah.
And a lot of brothers, man, I'm putting the business out there, but a lot of brothers go in there. We hear women say, there's not a lot of good men around,
Yeah.
but in our minds and our hearts, we're saying there are good men around, but we're already starting in the
Hmm.
negative because we are paying for those bad guy sins.
Yeah.
We already have to climb out the hole. We're already starting from behind and have to make our way forward. But there
Yeah.
are good men out
Yeah.
there. It's just that they're clouded and overshadowed, or paying for other people's sins that were hurt. So
Yeah. Yeah. Man, so Tawanda raised a good question earlier, that I wanted to ask about. I remember a while ago, a few months ago, we were talking about love on one of the posts, and the question was about how do you know when it's truly love or just infatuation, or like Tawanda says, the distinction between infatuation and inclusiveness. Like, how do you know the difference between all of that? Love, infatuation, inclusiveness.
um, I in general, I believe they're just stages, they're levels. So I believe that
Mm-hmm.
at any given point, well, one, this is just my belief. I'm one that does not believe in love at first sight. I
Okay.
don't believe in that love at first sight, but because I believe it's a stage,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a growth process, and I believe it does start with infatuation. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's regardless how we look at it. I didn't I didn't see your heart first. So,
Right. Yeah, let's just be real.
right, and so it starts off with infatuation, um, but the goal is not to stay there. The goal is to develop this, go along in this process and go to the next level. The problem is a lot of us stay
Mhm.
with infatuation. We're satisfied with it. We're
Yeah.
satisfied with the idea of a person.
Mm.
And with the idea of a
Mhm.
person, we may not know the truth of a person. because you're forming your idea. Infatuation causes us to overlook some things that maybe in reality we wouldn't accept, or we wouldn't want, but we overlook it because we're like this part of the process we're in now. Love takes us to the part of saying, okay, let me not ignore it. Let me acknowledge this. Let's be real about it. Let me show you who I really am. You show me who you really are. And then from here, we decide, do I like this person, or do you like this person? Do you love this person? Do you love that person? Now that we took off, now that infatuation is away, that new car smell, that we call the new car smell, is gone. And now, do I like what I really see? And that's where you get to the love.
Yeah.
But that's not the end. Now we're in love. Now we're in love with a moment in time. I love this person right here. Not understanding 5, 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 years from now, we're all changing. We're going to, I may not like what the things I like now, I may not like 20 or 30 years from now. Is that love able to evolve and continue on growing throughout those years of togetherness? So you start off with infatuation, and then you get to love, but then you get to a continual evolving love. And that's where it goes. If someone stops at just the initial love, they may outgrow their love. The relationship changes, and you got I'm with you only because we have kids. And after the kids is gone, I don't know what to do with you, because I outgrew the love that we initially had and stuff like that. So that's how I view it.
Yeah. And I think that it kind of goes along with what we were saying earlier with, okay, you have this infatuation. It's, exciting. It's new, all the emotions and butterflies and that kind of stuff. And then there's a period of vulnerability that you enter into, because you're opening yourself up to the person as far as who you really are. And giving them the permission to see, those things that are maybe not so cute, not so pretty, and giving them the opportunity to say, hey, do I want to continue with this person, after they're showing me who they truly are. And then you have a choice from there whether you want to accept that and continue to move forward.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. For me, get my little business, there were a lot of things I didn't do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I just didn't do around Alicia initially, because I just didn't want her to see that aspect of me. I held my stomach because I didn't want to use the bathroom in her place. So I wait till I get to my restroom. She didn't need to see all that. She wasn't ready for all that.
Yeah. Ready for all that.
So these are as an example, but just in general, there's some things that we just hold back. But then when your relationship progressed to it, then you're like, you know what? Now I want you to see it, and I want you to tell me, do you still feel the same way? If I cry, if I show you that I hurt, because you want you guys to be strong, but hey, guess what? We get emotional too. If I have to cry about something, are we still cool? If I show you that, if you're honest about something to me and how I respond to that, do you like the way I responded? Now that I was being real, not letting it roll off of me, but I was being real about it. Do you like that?
Yeah.
And now you're looking at those details that says, hey, this is the person I'm trying to commit with. And this is a sample of what the relationship could be like. And that's the problem, is that we give them a false sample. And then when you ever seen a commercial like McDonald's or something, they presenting this burger, and the burger look all nice and ordered, the tomatoes all nice and fitting on it, and that's TV advertising it for you, right? And then you go to get one from the store, and you open it up, and it's like all runny and jacked up. You're like, that's not what you presented to me. And
that's false advertising. I don't want that burger.
And so when we're in this relationship, we have to get to the point, whether you started from the beginning or started a little bit later on in your relationship, we must get to before we say, I love you, before we say I do, we need to get to the point to where I'm showing you this broken up McDonald's burger to where this is the real me. Do you still want?
Yeah. Do you say I do to that? Do you
Yeah.
say I do to her? Man, that's so good. So it reveals the importance of authenticity and just being real, up front, so that you can give the person an opportunity to make a choice. Because like you said, if you present something but for a long time and that's not who you really are, and then you start to let your hair down, it's like, well, who is that? That's not, who I thought I was getting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we got to look at ourselves too. If we ever show anybody in a relationship, if we ever show them a false us, we have to ask ourselves, why don't we like that about ourselves? I'm
Yes,
showing you
yes,
showing you
yes.
something
Because that,
false about me because I'm saying I don't like that about myself. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
something we need to start considering.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's true, and that's one of the things that I love talking about. Being the you relationship coach, I'm always talking about or thinking about or even living out, how is my relationship with myself? One of the things that I believe in is a healthy relationship starts with you.
Mm,
It starts with my relationship with myself, and if we're not good, then I can't establish anything good, with someone else. It's just going to be chaotic because I got so much chaos going
yeah,
on, within me. So, yeah, and not to say that you're going to be perfect, but it's just like, am I at a good place with myself? Am I at peace with me so that I can go into something, from a peaceful place?
yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So let's see what else. So what about soulmates or this concept of the one? Do you believe in soulmates or that there's only one person for you?
I absolutely do not believe in soulmates, and it sounds strange coming from a pastor, but I do not. I've been saying this since I was a teenager that I don't believe in the soulmate concept. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not saying that God is not able to do that. Um,
Hmm.
I just don't think He uses that method, and that's just my opinion on it. Um,
Hmm.
Outside of Adam and Eve, maybe I don't know, but
Yeah.
for me, I believe in the concept of compatibility. And
Mm.
so, a soulmate says that God made this one person just for me, regardless in the world, but designed just for me. Uh,
Yeah.
that is to me that is a selfish concept because
Mm.
God didn't. God made us to save the world. God, all this other stuff. I never seen it where God said, "I made a person just for you,"
Yeah. Yeah.
except for Eve. Like I said, except for Eve. And so I
Yeah.
believe there's a form of compatibility. What I mean by that is that um, God has given us God has given us a fundamental being of who we are.
Hmm.
Life and choices have shaped that. But
Hmm.
we begin to look at our mate, our potential mate, and say, are we compatible? Are we compatible? And
Yeah.
compatible doesn't mean that we like the same things. Compatible doesn't mean
Hmm.
that we're a carbon copy of each other. But a
Hmm.
compatibility means do we work together? My wife and I are
Hmm.
totally opposite. Totally opposite.
Re-
We are totally opposite. My sense of humor is different from her sense of humor. The movies I like, she don't like. I'm touchy feely. She like, kind of like, I'm not too public display of affection kind of. She's not that kind of person. And ever since we
yeah.
are different in a lot of ways, but yet
Right.
we're compatible. We're compatible
Hmm.
um, because because the things that she's different in may help me to be stronger. I've experienced
Yeah.
I experienced things that I never would have went to if I was dating somebody like me.
Hmm.
So going to like theater plays, that wasn't my thing. It was her thing. So but I experienced that and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I wasn't there like, man, this ain't like watching Marvel comic movies. You know what? I don't want to be here. Nah, I didn't make a horrible experience for her, but I enjoyed it with her. And so I believe in
Hmm.
compatibility. You could be compatible with different people, but you have to make that choice and say, who do I want to spend this life with? Not
Yeah.
necessarily as a soulmate, but as this person I'm very compatible with. This person um, used to say, like I said, we're different. She didn't want to marry a military man. She didn't want to marry a minister. I was everything she did not want to marry. So if you go with the soulmate, I would not be it. We wouldn't be here today.
Man, but you know what? This is revealing saying so much, because in my mind, and even teaching me, because in my mind, compatibility means you have certain things in common, you know, and you like certain things and you have this commonality. But what you're saying is it doesn't have to be that. So what is it like? Since you guys were opposite, was it an openness to explore each other's differences? Like how did you find that compatibility being so opposite?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It is an openness to explore the likes in the person of the individual. And so the compatibility part, once again, it's to be open-minded to who this person is, what this person likes, what this person does not like. Remember I said earlier about love is evolving?
Yeah.
If you simply stick to this person right here in front of me, this moment in time, you're gonna realize that, okay, I like this person because they remind me of me. We have all these things in common. But what if life happens and they change? Death changed people.
Yeah.
Pain, hurt changes people. All this stuff happens in life further on that will cause them not to like or be the person that you originally married. And now you're frustrated because you're like, hey, we used to like bowling together. We used to like this, and now you.
Yeah.
And so now starting in the relationship, I know we don't have that issue. Now I know compatibility means I can adjust to who you are when you're in that mood, when you're in that position, when you're in that state of mind, that state of being. I now can adjust to it because we've already been working on this compatibility from the very beginning. We haven't been working on building a likeness. We've been working on building a compatibility. And that transcends that time, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever those things are, because you've already said, I need to be compatible. Because what if...
This is messing me up. I'm just letting you know it's messing me up. Because I'm like, wait, how that's going to work? And you showing us how much 12 years.
Because like I told you earlier, I'm touchy-feely, right? What if something happens in my life that makes me now not so touchy-feely?
Yeah.
Is she able to adjust to that and say, well, not necessarily I may be cheating now, I'm not trying to touch you, but maybe something in my life happened to where I may not want to hug all the time. I may not want to do this. That doesn't mean I don't love you, but that changed a little bit. Can you adjust? Or she now wants to get touchy-feely and hug all the time. And I'm like, now you get it. No, we begin to adjust to each other. But that's how I see it.
So how does values play into that? So we're talking about compatibility, like, hey, I might like this, you may not like that, but where do your values fit in? Like, is there a commonality there with the value systems?
I would say with values, I believe in the human nature of decency.
Okay.
So those are you have to have. There's human values of decency that everybody should have. In general, if you don't have those basic decencies, then pretty much it's not going to work out. If one person does, another one doesn't. So I don't necessarily think of the values, because I believe that we all should have those. But I believe more in responses to things. So we have certain values. We have to be just, treat people how you want to be treated. All these little things that come in your mind when you think of values, love, and all this other stuff. But how do you apply those things could be an issue. How you apply those things, and so for us, when we look at, I never look at her to be me. I never look at her to respond like me, because I already know that she's different. I already know that she's different. And if we come to a place to where I feel that some of the application of those values are an issue. That's where we have a
Mm-hmm.
discussion and say, why did you feel that this was appropriate, or you did this or that and the other?
Mm-hmm.
And then we gotta dig in
Mm-hmm.
deep, because maybe that's just how she react or I reacted. She may not like it,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
deep down inside, you have to say the heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you begin to
I get it.
you have to dissect. This thing is work. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't give you a piece of paper, and this paper is who I am for the rest of my life. I give you a piece of paper,
Yeah.
and you have to dissect it. You have to look into it.
Mm,
Sort of like
yeah.
your, sort of like
Yeah.
sort of like your book. Your book
Mm-hmm.
gives a lot of insight of how you became the Siobhan that we see today.
Right.
Not and those things shaped your values. It shaped your level
Mm-hmm.
of trust. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and now we look at, because of how you overcame some of that. Now
Mm-hmm.
we could look at you and say, you know what? I didn't know you were going through that stuff, but I always seen that smile on your face. That shows some
Mm-hmm.
strength. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it also from your book, it showed a little shame. It
Mm-hmm.
shows some
Yeah.
stuff that
Mm-hmm.
now, based on the decision, now I may have to ask you a question. Like why did you do that? And then you maybe you open up to me and you're able to share that. So some of that, I think
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like I said, it's not a paper, it's a book. We have to understand the book of a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. It so yeah, I don't even know what to say from that because you done messed me up just with a new way of looking at relationships. I know for me, I'm a very black and white type person, so it's hard for
It's
me
great.
sometimes to get, yeah, it's like this real great, Jeremiah. Like, wait, so I'm trying to wrap my mind.
I
Okay,
hardly
so
ever
look.
deal with absolutes.
So it's just messed me up, but I appreciate, you adding this perspective because once again, I think singles, a lot of us is like we have this list. Here's the requirements, here are these things that I'm looking for. It's almost like we're going to the grocery store and we're just we got the shopping list and then we want to, pick those things that's on the list. And then we want a nice basket with everything in it that we have already pre-selected and we think, voila, there's our mate, based on how we how things showed up. But what I'm hearing from you is it's not so cut and dry like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's just you're kind of, it's a dance. You're kind of dancing together. Are we going the same way? Are we flowing? Is this flowing, or is this too much of a fight on the dance
Yeah.
floor type thing?
Well, using your grocery store analogy, it's just like going to the store,
Hmm.
not knowing what you want to cook, but you go in there and say, you know what,
Yeah.
I can use this ground beef, and I can take this, and you start to create a
Yeah.
masterpiece dish. Because
Hmm.
what happens is that people start to, and if you look at a lot of people's lists, they start to look the
Yeah.
same. So it starts to look like the
Yeah.
recipe on the back of a box. So
Exactly.
everybody looking for that same recipe from the back of the box. Then you got
Yeah.
that person
Yeah.
that goes in there with no box, no recipe, and they like, okay, let me see. How can I make a good dish out of whatever is available to me? And then while everybody's eating their box dish, they got this fresh.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
came in and they saw compatibility. This works with that. This works with this, and they
Yeah.
created a dish.
Man, that's good. Cause then my thoughts are saying, but no, you're supposed to go go in the store knowing what you want. Like how you just gonna walk in the store? I don't know what I want. Let me just pull stuff. But why can't it be like that? Why do you have to know everything? It has to go
Because, like I said,
together.
remember, Alicia knew what she wanted. If she got what she wanted, it wouldn't have been me.
Exactly.
she,
Right.
she,
Right. So that's so good, man. Are y'all this helping y'all? Because I know it's helping me. I don't know about y'all, but you showed ministering to me today. Thank you, brother. Um, so let's talk about ministry. So you said Alicia didn't, she wasn't interested in marrying a minister and that kind of thing. And now you're a pastor. So How did that transition happen? Like, how do you balance that with marriage and ministry?
Well, one, she had to be a part of it. So when I got the calling to, well, when I accepted the calling, because I got it, but I was fighting it. But when I accepted it, I asked her, did she? I told her about it, and I asked her, did she? Is that something she's willing to support? And she told me, let her think about it, and I was like, what? I thought you was gonna jump on board. She's like, let me think about it. Because like I said, she did not want to marry a minister. Now, because when we first dated, I never even told her I was a minister when we first started off. Didn't even know. I reeled her in first. False advertisement. I reeled her in, then I let her know. But So she said, let me think about it. And I'm sitting there like, that was not what I was expecting. I was ready to like, yeah, let's do the work of God, something. But I think about 3 to 5 days later, she said, she turned to me and she said, I support you. That let me know that she meant it.
Yeah.
If she said it immediately, I would have felt she meant it, but then she was just saying it for me. But the fact that she had to think about it, and she thought about the impact to the family, the impact to, because we were, I don't think she was pregnant at the time, but we had one child already, and I just got into schools. A lot of other stuff was going on, and so she had to think about it, and it was a genuine. And when she said, "I will support you," it wasn't me prompting for an answer or a response. It came out of the blue, and from there, it was so real, and I felt deeper in love again. I was like, oh my goodness!
Right.
And so she said, "I do." That says she'll support me, and with the expectation that this would take a lot. And one of the things I had to let her know is, from the inside, I can't tell. I won't be able to tell if I'm neglecting you. So I need you to tell me when I am.
Yeah.
And then when you tell me that I am, that's when I need to know that I have to give you some more attention that you deserve. But I can't tell it from inside because I'm doing this, that, and I'm trying to juggle, trying to balance, trying to do all the things that we say. So I need you to stop me and say, hey, I need some time. And she has been doing. She's done that on a few occasions where she's like, and you know what I did? Put it to the side. Put this to the side. I start off. Let me start off now. One blessing though was having people that understand that too. Minister Reverend Rhonda, she always like. One time I was wanting to do. The first year we started the church, I wanted to. I was about to miss my anniversary. Like, we're just gonna stay here local, and she was practically kicked me out of the church. She's like, "Don't change."
Like, you better.
Yeah, don't change anything you've already been doing. And so that let me see is that the church has to understand that my wife is my first ministry, my family is my first ministry, and when they already have that expectation, and when I have it, then for her, my wife Alicia, she now knows that she has the support from the church and me, that we won't neglect her.
Yes. I heard so many things in what you just shared, and I thank you for sharing that, because one, I heard communication. You communicate. It's not like you ran with the call, like, okay, I got it, so you just gonna have to jump on board. But you communicated with her to consider, how it would affect her, because it would impact, not you, but your family. So there was communication there, getting buy-in, giving her an opportunity to, process it for herself and not pressing her about it. And then for her to come back and just say, I support you, which was, just so beautiful to have her on board like that. And then what you also communicated was, hey, I may not know when I'm neglecting you, so please let me know. So what I hear in all of that is the importance of communication and openness.
Yeah, definitely. Communication is key. And that's what whether you're doing the work of the Lord or you're doing the work of your profession. All that takes time, and you have to have that communication that where is that time coming from? It's coming from
Mm-hmm.
family. And so
Yep.
if you don't
Mm-hmm.
communicate that, you'll end up being roommates.
Yeah, yeah. And I like the fact that, that thought process, even when if you didn't intentionally share it with the congregation, but you have people, like you said, that understand, the importance of you guys having that time.
Hmm.
So, it's starting out with the importance of making sure y'all are good, and, they're taking care of church business while you guys are off on vacation and getting the rest and one-on-one time that you need. So that's important too, to establish that up front.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So that's good stuff. So, man, we've been talking almost the whole hour. I ain't talked about no these questions were so good, and you had to mess me up in the middle of it, the little, points I had to talk
See,
about.
flexibility.
Um, you just go with it, just flow. Hey, whatever happens, happens, right? On these conversations. Um, So, what advice would you give to singles who desire to be married, just based on all the things that you've talked about? What advice would you give, people like me who desire to be married, but just, hasn't happened yet?
I I would just say, I guess the two things is one that the people don't want to hear is that patience part. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want to rush it. You don't want to rush it. This is
Mm-hmm.
a major step in our lives, a lifelong step. But
Mm-hmm.
we expect it to be a lifelong step in our lives. So you want to be patient with it. Anything rushed, and when I say rushed, not by time, because everybody's time different. Some My parents got married after 6 months of meeting each other, and they've been together for 40
Mm-hmm.
some years, 44, 45 years now. It took me three.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 3 years. Be dated for 3 years.
Yeah, I know that's right. This ain't we ain't back in the times.
so so know yourself and know the person. So patience is the first part. The
Mm-hmm.
second part is pretty much transparency. Um,
Mm-hmm.
encourage each other to be transparent, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to marry the person you're infatuated with. You want to
Yeah.
marry the
Mm-hmm.
person that you're in love with, and so that requires
Mm-hmm.
transparency, because
Yeah.
those are two different people.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
those are general things to consider. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but understand that 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 while we look at these things and we have these milestones from when we were kids to when we were young adults.
Yeah.
I want to be married by 25,
Mm-hmm.
have two kids by 28.
Right.
We have these things in our lives, but the reality is that it's better to miss those milestones and get it and have a strong relationship than to
Mm-hmm.
make those milestones and pay for it at the end of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, amen. Trust me, I know exactly that making part, and then have to pay
Yeah.
for it in the end. Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say, being 12 years in the game, what would you say to married people, newlyweds, or just married couples, period? What advice would you give to them?
What I would give to them is continue on dating your spouse. And what
Mm-hmm.
I mean by dating is, although you're now at the love phase, continue on being infatuated with her. Because that infatuation
Mm-hmm.
says, when I roll over, I'm telling you, girl, you so fine.
Right,
I'm sending
right.
that text. I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see you tonight. Uh,
Yeah,
let's
yeah, that's real.
and
Mm-hmm.
so when you still flirt and you still date and you still you keep that stuff fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I spit weak game to my wife, but she still like it just because I spit in game. So she still like it because I am. But
Yeah.
you definitely have to continue on dating each other. Be those little kids, your young kids, where you're like, I fall asleep on the phone talking to you. Don't lose.
Like you downstairs, she upstairs, y'all on the phone. That's cute.
Don't, and then the thing is, and I tell people is, it's harder with kids when kids get in, because now all attention goes to the kids. but you can't give all attention to the kids. Give some attention to the kids. You still have to have, you still got to do this stuff with each other. Most of us now are not living where we grew up at, so we don't have family around us. So find someone that you trust to babysit. I had someone at the church once a month. They used to come to our house to babysit the kids so we can go out. So I can still date her, so I can still, keep that relationship spicy.
Yeah, I know that's right. I'm glad you mentioned that about the kids, because that can shift the dynamics, of your relationship. Because like you said, the focus shifts to, now caring for them. So how do you manage that?
I mean, you manage it by understanding that, yes, the kids' needs are first, because they can't take care of themselves, obviously. So their needs are first.
Yeah.
But the number one person in your life is still your spouse. And so you take care of their needs, you take care of their wants. But if they don't replace the position of your spouse. They don't replace it. And I think a lot of times we end up having them replace that position to where the spouse only gets the leftovers.
Wow. Yeah, that's so true.
We have to stop that. We can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then that creates a whole, like the neglect you talked about, and just just all kind of things.
Yeah, you end up being married to the kids, and then when the kids leave, then you expect that spouse to leave too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who you are.
Exactly. Like, what is going on? So one last question that I wanted to ask, and I think we were talking about it in one of the posts. How does a spouse manage when their partner doesn't meet, all or some of their emotional needs? Like you mentioned, affection, or someone might need someone to tell them, words of affirmation all the time, and the spouse just might not be that type of person. How does the partner manage when that spouse isn't meeting those needs?
I think I know we talked about it, but once again that's a very difficult one. It requires understanding on both people's parts. One is that from the person that is experiencing the lack of emotional needs being met, they have to be able, they have to express it, not express it in a manner to where it's convicting the person they're talking to, but come from a manner of, this is one of my felt needs. I need my felt needs to be met. I have emotions that I need you to be a part of. I need you to meet those things. And so they have to have that. The person that is not giving it, they have to understand people don't operate. People are not like you. Just because you can get out, or without those things, emotional stuff, or the other person may have those needs. And so compatibility comes into place. We're back to the very beginning of this conversation. Compatibility comes into place is, how can my goal should be to meet your needs. Your goal should be to meet my needs. And then what you find is, in the middle, that both people are happy. You're ensuring I'm happy, and I'm ensuring you're happy. You're ensuring I'm loved, and I'm ensuring you're loved. But what we do, though, is we become selfish and saying, I'm going to make sure I'm happy, and you make sure you're happy, and then we clash.
Yeah. And I love that. So it's not both people sitting back and saying, or maybe even one person sitting back and saying, hey, I'm getting my needs met, but I'm not going to do, what I feel is necessary to meet your needs as well. It's just kind of on the receiving end. Like, I'm good. You making me feel good. You good. You should feel good because I feel good, but I'm not, doing anything to reciprocate,
Because I mean, we, and I do counseling sometimes, and that actually, in the premarital counseling sessions, that actually is a big one that we discuss. Is who's supposed to meet whose needs, and most people want to go in there single, saying, I'm gonna meet my needs, and I'm gonna make sure my needs are met, and you make sure yours is met. And when I say, when you unite, the thing is
Mm-hmm.
now is that you're supposed to ensure that your spouse's needs are met, or even
Mm-hmm.
and the spouse is supposed to make sure your needs are met. And
Mm-hmm.
that goes with, the five love languages you guys talked about. I haven't read that,
Yeah.
but I guess that kind of coincides with that. It's like I have to make sure I speak your language, you speak mine, or I make sure I meet your needs, you meet mine, and however way you want to do it. But what is
Yeah.
the end goal? You have to understand what the end goal is. And if you don't have that in
Mm-hmm.
mind, then you'll fail. But the end
Yeah.
goal should always be we are to ensure that I'm taking care of you. And if
Yeah.
both people have that in mind, I'm taking care of you, you take care of me, then
Mm-hmm.
the end result is that we're taking care of each other.
Yeah. And I think that's even for a lot of people, if it doesn't come naturally for them, like if it's not something, if I'm not naturally someone who likes to give words of affirmation, then it's like, some people see it as more of a chore instead of, like you're saying, looking at the end goal. I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone to do this in honor of you, in service of you, because I know that's what you like,
Yeah.
even though it's not comfortable for me. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm. So,
and also your spouse. Like for me,
yeah.
Alicia always say I'm good with words. So she's like, you be saying this stuff, and then, and and I know that she does it. She's not like not expressive like that, like I am. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that, but I
Mm-hmm.
also don't hold her. I also don't equate her love to how she expresses it then, because I know that that's not how she expresses it. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I have to discover in learning her, how does she express her love? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm looking for. And then she has to do
Mm-hmm.
the same for me. And so if I feel
Yeah.
once I find it and I see that now I know that maybe even just because you're not writing me a poem,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean you don't love me. Uh, because you're still doing the
Mm-hmm.
thing that identified of how you express your love.
Yes, 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 yes. That makes so much sense. So it's like I see what you're doing. I see how you're showing me, that you love me, even if it's not how I would
Yeah.
normally show it or how I like, yeah, but I see what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm. But this has been an amazing conversation, like I knew it would be. Just I really appreciate your wisdom, the wisdom that you have to share. And I knew you were going to drop some bombs on us today. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for, how God uses you just to minister to other people. So thank you for blessing us
You
this evening. So any last words that you want to say? Anything on your mind that you want to share with the people?
No, nothing else. It's just that I just I just hope that that we don't give up on relationships. We don't give
Mm-hmm.
up on each other. Marriage is still good, a good thing to do. Be strong in your singleness. Singleness, there's nothing wrong with being single either. Uh,
Nothing wrong with being
Nothing wrong with
single.
being single.
Woo-hoo.
Be who you are, where you are in your
Yes.
season, and do it the best you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us anything about Go See. You want to tell people about how to visit, where they can go?
Uh, you can visit us. You can visit our website at www.gospeloutreachcc.org. We're our goal for Gospel Outreach Community Church is um, to help the homeless community in the Woodbridge area, the Prince William County area. And so we're
Mhm.
doing a lot of stuff for the homeless people. So if you want to donate to our ministry so that we can be able to help those homeless people, whether it's clothes, canned goods, money, we definitely appreciate anybody's help as we reach out to those homeless people, especially now that and it's getting cold out here. Uh, Cold out
Yeah.
here, and they're still out in the streets, experiencing the
Hmm.
weather. Um, and also come visit us. We're at 14300 Minnieville Road, Woodbridge, Virginia. So if you're in the area, come visit us. We would definitely like to see you there.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And thank you for all the work that you do at Go See and how you're allowing God to use you to help other people. And for those who are logging on, like I said, I do these conversations on Wednesdays. For the past 2 months, it's been with men, but next month I'm going to talk to women. So we're going to flip it We're gonna change it up just to get some more stories because the women were like, "Well, when you gonna have us on this?" You know, like, when the wives gonna come on. So we're gonna have some wives come on and share their stories, some amazing stories we got coming up. So every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, tune in to my Facebook page so we can have some good discussion. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you, brother. And I'll be seeing you online.
All right. Are you still coaching?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Go
so
see her if you want to coach.
still,
Go see her if you want to coach.
yeah. Yes, I'm taking some time off right now just for some, my own personal self-care. But yes, I am still passionate about helping women. I have a Facebook page, Dear Miss Wholeness Facebook group, where I post videos and just encouraging words for people. So if you want to log on and join that, please do, because I love to encourage women. And I'm also, since you mentioned that, a facilitator with a group called Real Women. Shout out to the Real Women who are on here, founded by Dr. Richardson. So we meet every second Saturday of the month, and we are a sister circle that exists to help women just have a safe space to go so they can do real work on themselves. So visit www.realwomenrock.org for more information on that. So thank you for mentioning that.
And if you want to write a book, go see you, right?
Yes. Thank you.
I got
you.
Yes,
you got me. Yes, I just started workshops for people who want to birth books. I'm passionate also about people telling their stories. I see so many people out here that have so many stories and just talking about, oh, I want to write a book, but they don't know how. So I've started doing online workshops to help people birth their books because it's not hard. The hardest part is just, believing that we can do it. I can walk you through the journey. I do consulting for that. So if you are interested in publishing your own book, but you don't know how and you just want somebody to support you, please reach out to me. You can send me a Facebook message or go to my website, www.siobhancarter.com, for more information on that.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right.